Heavenly Father, we come before you with thankful hearts. Open our eyes to see your plan from the beginning, how you made covenant with mankind. Give us wisdom to understand your word, that we may walk in obedience and love. In Yahusha's name. Selah. The word covenant means an agreement, a bond between the Most High and His creation. From the first breath of Adam to the promise fulfilled through Yahusha, every covenant reveals the same heart of Elohim, to dwell with His people and teach them His ways. This lesson traces that covenant thread, showing how it began in the garden and carried through Noah and Abraham, preparing the way for Israel and eventually the renewed covenant through Yahusha. Genesis chapter 2 verses 16 and 17. And Yahuah Elohim commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die. Here the first covenant begins, a covenant of life and obedience. Adam was placed in paradise with freedom, but also with a boundary. Covenant always carries both blessing and responsibility. The Most High gave man choice, teaching that love must be proven through obedience. When Adam and Eve broke this covenant, death entered. Yet even judgment carried mercy. Yahuah promised redemption through the seed of the woman. Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. This prophecy reveals the first promise of Yahusha. Even in the fall, the covenant hope was declared. A Redeemer would crush the serpent's authority. The covenant pattern is born. Yahuah corrects, yet also restores. Jubilees chapter 3 verses 27 and 28. And on that day Adam blessed Elohim, and he offered sweet incense upon the altar of fragrant spices, acceptable before Yahuah. And he said, Truly, this is the pattern of righteousness which will be practiced by my children forever. According to Jubilees, Adam began to worship again, showing that covenant relationship continued even outside Eden. Though man was exiled, Yahuah's desire for communion did not end. From that moment, sacrifice became the sign of faith and repentance. Genesis chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuah. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with Elohim. As the world grew corrupt, Yahuah sought one who still honored the covenant of righteousness. Noah walked with Elohim, meaning he lived by faith and obedience in a wicked generation. Covenant requires separation. Those who walk with Elohim cannot blend with lawlessness. Genesis chapter 6, verses 17 through 18. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with you will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Here the word covenant is first spoken. Yahuah promises protection through obedience. The ark became the physical sign of his covenant, a vessel of salvation amid judgment. This foreshadows Yahusha, through whom those in covenant are saved from destruction. Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 16. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. After the flood, Yahuah sealed his promise with the rainbow. This covenant extended to all creation, a covenant of preservation. It reminds us that the Most High keeps His word even when humanity forgets. Every rainbow testifies that Yahuah remembers mercy. Ecclesiasticus chapter 44, verses 17 and 18. Noah was found perfect and righteous. In the time of wrath he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was there left a remnant unto the earth when the flood came. An everlasting covenant was made with him that all flesh should no more be destroyed by a flood. The book of Ecclesiasticus confirms the eternal nature of Noah's covenant. Righteousness preserves life. Covenant faithfulness brings generational mercy. After the flood, humanity again spread and rebelled. Yet Yahuah sought a man through whom he could build a family of faith, a man named Abram. Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Now Yahuah had said unto Abram, Get you out of your country and from your kindred and from your father's house unto a land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great. And you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curses you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed. The covenant with Abram begins with separation. To walk in covenant often means leaving comfort and familiarity. Yahuah promised blessing, land, and legacy, but most importantly, that through Abram's seed, all nations would be blessed. This was a prophetic shadow of Yahusha, the promised seed. Genesis chapter 15, verses 5 and 6. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if you be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuah, and he counted it to him for righteousness. Faith becomes the foundation of covenant. Abram believed the impossible, and righteousness was imputed to him. Covenant begins in the heart before it is marked in the flesh. Genesis chapter 17, verses 1 through 7. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahuah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am El Shaddai, walk before me and be perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be Elohim unto you and to your seed after you. Here circumcision is given as the physical token of the covenant. It symbolized the cutting away of fleshly ways. The promise becomes generational, not merely personal. Yahuah desires a lineage that carries his character. Jubilees chapter 15, verses 25 through 27. And this law is for all the generations forever, and there is no circumcision of the days, and no passing away of one day or of one night. And as for the command which Yahuah gave Abraham, it remains forever unto all the seed of Israel. Jubilees emphasizes the everlasting intent, a sign not limited to one time. Every covenant builds upon the previous, revealing deeper holiness. Genesis chapter 18, verses 17 through 19. And Yahuah said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahuah to do justice and judgment, that Yahuah may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. Covenant requires stewardship. Abraham's obedience was to be taught to his children. The covenant is not sustained by ritual alone, but by passing on righteousness. Enoch chapter 93, verses 1 through 3. And after that Enoch began to recount from the books, and said, I was born the 7th in the 1st week, while judgment and righteousness still endured. And after me there shall arise another generation, many shall be blinded, and their hearts shall be impious, and they shall make idols for themselves. But righteousness shall again be manifested, and a law for all generations. Enoch foresaw a cycle of apostasy and restoration, showing that covenant would be renewed again and again until the final fulfillment. The Most High's plan has always been progressive revelation leading to perfect restoration. Genesis chapter 22, verses 16 through 18. By myself have I sworn, says Yahuah, for because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. When Abraham offered Isaac, the covenant reached its highest expression of faith. Obedience, even when painful, opens generational blessing. This act mirrored the future sacrifice of Yahusha, the promised seed offered by the Father for the redemption of all. Ecclesiasticus chapter 44, verses 20 through 21. Abraham kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed and multiply him as the dust of the earth. The wisdom writer confirms that Abraham's covenant was based on faith and obedience, not lineage alone. Faithfulness is the seal of covenant. Genesis chapter 26, verses 4 and 5. And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto your seed all these countries. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Here, Yahuah reaffirms the covenant to Isaac. Note the emphasis. Abraham obeyed commandments that predated Sinai. The law was not invented at Moses. It was revealed progressively through covenant relationship. Genesis chapter 28, verses 12 through 15. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Elohim ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahuah stood above it and said, I am Yahuah Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land whereon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. And behold, I am with you, and will keep you in all places whither you go. Jacob receives the same promise, showing the continuity of covenant. The ladder represents connection between heaven and earth, a prophecy of Yahusha, the mediator between Elohim and man. Genesis chapter 35, verse 11. And Elohim said unto him, I am El Shaddai, be fruitful and multiply, a nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. The covenant becomes royal. Through Jacob's lineage would come kings, and ultimately the King of Kings. Every stage of the covenant carries a shadow of Yahusha. Jubilees chapter 32, verse 20. And he called the name of that place Bethel, but previously the name of the place was Luz. And Jacob vowed a vow unto Yahuah, saying, If you will be with me and keep me, this stone shall be a house of Elohim. Jacob's vow reveals covenant reciprocity. If you keep me, I will serve you. Covenant is not one-sided. It is relationship bound by trust and obedience. At this point, the covenant family has grown into 12 tribes. They will descend into Egypt, and there Yahuah will prepare to reveal his covenant on a national level through Moses. As the children of Israel grew into a great people in Egypt, the promise given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was still alive. The Most High remembered his covenant and prepared to deliver his people so that they could serve him freely. Exodus chapter 2, verses 23 through 25. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel, and Elohim had respect unto them. The covenant is not forgotten. Even after centuries of silence, Yahuah's promises remain. When his people groaned, he remembered. Covenant means that the Most High binds himself to his word. His remembrance brings deliverance. Exodus chapter 3, verses 6 through 10. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. Come now, therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. When Yahuah appeared to Moses in the burning bush, he introduced himself through covenant identity, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Every generation recognizes him by the covenant name and the acts that follow it. Moses is chosen as the vessel through whom the covenant will expand from a family to a nation. Exodus chapter 6, verses 2 through 5. And Elohim spoke unto Moses, and said unto him, I am Yahuah, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of El Shaddai, but by my name, Yahuah, was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Here, Yahuah reveals his personal name as a deeper revelation of relationship. Covenant always brings greater understanding of who he is. The deliverance from Egypt is not random mercy, it is covenant faithfulness. Exodus chapter 12, verses 12 through 14. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the Elohim of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahuah. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahuah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. The Passover marks covenant protection. The blood on the doorposts represents substitution and mercy, pointing forward to the greater Passover through Yahusha. The feast is not merely tradition, but memorial of relationship. The people belong to Yahuah. Exodus chapter 19, verses 4 through 6. You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. At Mount Sinai, the covenant is renewed and expanded. Israel is invited into priesthood, a nation set apart to represent the Most High on earth. Every covenant adds responsibility. Privilege and obedience walk together. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 3. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuah your Elohim, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim before me. The 10 Commandments begin with relationship. I am Yahuah your Elohim. The law is not a list of restrictions, but a marriage vow between Elohim and his people. Covenant means fidelity. No other Elohim, no divided heart. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 2 and 3. Yahuah, our Elohim, made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahuah made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us, here alive this day. Moses later reminds the next generation that covenant is personal and living. It is not distant history. It is renewed with every heart that chooses obedience. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 9 through 11. Know therefore that Yahuah your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful El, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face to destroy them. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them. The covenant is grounded in Yahuwah's faithfulness. He keeps mercy to 1,000 generations. Obedience secures blessing. Rebellion invites consequence. Covenant is not forced. It is maintained through love. Exodus chapter 24, verses 3 through 8. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahuwah has said will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuwah. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words. This scene seals the national covenant. The blood signifies unity between heaven and earth, between Yahuwah and his people. Israel enters a binding relationship witnessed by sacrifice. This mirrors the covenant pattern seen since Eden: life through obedience, restoration through blood. Psalm chapter 105, verses 7 through 10. He is Yahuwah our Elohim. His judgments are in all the earth. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. Which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. The psalmist looks back and confirms that every stage of covenant is connected. From Abraham to Moses, one promise flows. Yahuwah remembers forever. His word is not broken. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 10 through 15. You stand this day, all of you, before Yahuwah your Elohim, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your stranger that is in your camp, that you should enter into covenant with Yahuwah your Elohim, and into his oath, which Yahuwah your Elohim makes with you this day, that he may establish you today for a people unto himself. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before Yahuwah our Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. This passage shows that covenant transcends time. It includes future generations, even those not yet born. The Most High's purpose is a people that reflect his holiness forever. Jubilees chapter 1, verses 22 through 25. But when they turn to me from among the nations with all their heart and with all their soul, I will gather them from amongst all the nations, and I will plant them in their own land, and they shall become my people, and I shall be their Elohim. And I will not forsake them nor fail them, for I am Yahuwah their Elohim. Jubilees echoes the prophetic promise of restoration. Even when Israel fails, Yahuwah's covenant mercy remains. Repentance renews relationship. The covenant cannot die because it is rooted in his character. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 44 and 45. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. For I am Yahuwah, their Elohim. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt, that I might be their Elohim. I am Yahuwah. This is covenant grace, discipline, but not destruction. The Most High chastens to restore. The people may break their vows, but he remembers his. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 6. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations, and shall return unto Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall obey his voice. Then Yahuwah your Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you. And Yahuwah your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. Here the heart of the covenant is revealed, inner transformation. The Most High promised to circumcise the heart, preparing the way for Yahusha's spiritual renewal. Covenant is not only external law, it is internal love. Ecclesiasticus chapter 45, verses 5 through 7. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the thick darkness, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach Jacob his covenants and Israel his judgments. He exalted Aaron, a holy man like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi. The wisdom text honors Moses and Aaron as stewards of covenant. The law of life and knowledge reveals Yahuwah's purpose, not to burden, but to guide his people into holiness and understanding. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 9 through 13. And Moses wrote this law, and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and your stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear and that they may learn, and fear Yahuah your Elohim, and observe to do all the words of this law. The covenant is meant to be taught continually, men, women, and children together. The law is the family inheritance of the people of Yahuwah. When generations learn his word, the covenant lives on. Exodus chapter 34, verses 27 and 28. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, Write you these words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with Yahuwah 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. Though Moses sealed the written covenant with Israel, history shows that the heart of man remained divided. The people promised, all that Yahuwah has said will we do. Yet again and again they turned aside. This teaches that covenant without transformation leads to failure. The law defined holiness, but the spirit of obedience was still to come. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 27, For I know your rebellion and your stiff neck. Behold, while I am yet alive with you this day, you have been rebellious against Yahuwah, and how much more after my death. Moses foresaw the struggle of Israel's heart. The covenant would test generations, each called to choose between blessing and curse, life and death. The Most High knew that the written law alone could not change the inner man. It would take the living word to write his law within. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 3 and 4. Because I will publish the name of Yahuwah, ascribe you greatness unto our Elohim. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, an Elohim of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he. Even in warning, Moses sang of Yahuwah's perfection. The covenant's foundation is not man's faithfulness, but Elohim's. His truth remains unshaken, though his people stumble. Centuries later, prophets arose to remind Israel of this same truth. They declared that Yahuwah's mercy would outlast their rebellion. Jeremiah chapter 11, verses 2 through 4. Hear you the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say unto them, Thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, Cursed be the man that obeys not the words of this covenant, which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. Jeremiah echoed Moses' call, Obedience is life. But as the nation fell into idolatry, the prophet began to speak of something greater, a renewal not written on stone, but on the heart. Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 31 through 33. Behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahuwah, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. This prophecy bridges the old and the new. It does not cancel the first covenant, but fulfills its purpose, transformation. The promise is the same. I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Only the method changes from tablets of stone to tablets of flesh. Ezekiel chapter 36 verses 26 and 27. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Ezekiel adds clarity. The spirit of Elohim would empower obedience from within. Covenant is not merely agreement, but transformation, Elohim dwelling inside his people. This vision looks forward directly to Yahusha, who would breathe that spirit into his followers. Even the ancient writings recognized that Israel needed a redeemer to fulfill what the law could only foreshadow. Ecclesiasticus chapter 36 verses 1 through 3. Have mercy upon us, O Yahuah Elohim of all, and behold us, and send your fear upon all the nations that seek not after you. Lift up your hand against the strange nations, and let them see your power. The writer pleads for deliverance and restoration, a cry answered through the coming Messiah. Yahusha would embody the covenant itself, the Word made flesh, the perfect mediator between the Most High and man. In time, the promised Redeemer would reveal the deeper meaning of every covenant. The life of obedience, the faith of Abraham, and the communion symbolized in sacrifice would all find their perfect fulfillment through him. Yahusha, the living Word who would one day establish the covenant of hearts. Thus, the story of the covenant through Moses does not end in failure, but in anticipation. Every prophet, every psalm, every act of mercy points toward the one who would complete what began in Eden, a restored relationship between Creator and creation. The prophets carried forward the same message spoken through Moses, that the covenant is not an ancient contract, but a living relationship. From the beginning, Yahuah sought a people who would walk with him in trust and holiness. His word cannot fail, his mercy endures forever. As we keep his commandments and teach them to our children, we stand in the same covenant flow that began in Eden. Father Yahuah, thank you for revealing your covenant through every generation. Help us to honor you as Adam was meant to walk uprightly as Noah did, to believe as Abraham believed, and to obey as Moses obeyed. Write your law upon our hearts and make our homes places of covenant faithfulness. Keep us until the day we stand before you perfected through Yahusha. In Yahusha's name. Selah.